to the Austrian Tyrol, the town of Landeck.
Sehr herzlich, ihr
7,500, the population here,
wunderschöne
and their
Tirol. Ich
business
habe mich heute
is to
erkundigt, was es
welcome
denn
guests
Neues
from all over the world, in winter to ski, in summer to walk the mountains, cycle the mountains, and as today, to raft the whitewater rivers, or indeed, if you're skilled enough, to go down in a whitewater canoe.
Ideal, allerdings für die Schönheiten der Natur in dieser wunderschönen Landschaft am aktiven
The confluence of two rivers, the river in and the river on which today's competition takes place. The River Sana, a course of 4,400 meters, which over the past 2 days has seen the competitions for the individual titles in Canadian singles, in Canadian doubles, in women's and men's kayaks. And today, it's the turn of the teams. Each team represented by their best 3 boats, and it's these 3 men who start proceedings in the Canadian singles. The American team there, Chris Osmond, Tim Samsel and Bob Powell, and they're on their way and alongside me to put his expert eye on these men. British international paddler Makon Singh, unfortunately injured and not able to take part, but he's very welcome to join us here in the commentary box. And the first team, America, coming into the Pians Rapid, which is a little lower today than it has been for the previous 2 days of competition. Macon's still difficult though.
It's still very difficult. As the river drops, the waves get very steep. You can't see them too well from here, but as you see there, you watch the heads will go underwater, and it's quite a steep river. As the river comes up, the waves fill in more. So it's still very difficult. As you see there, he's flying over that wave there. The American team, not so fast, but still very skilled. They're picking their way slowly. They're waiting for their slowest man there. That's why you can see they're not zooming away. The last man, pretty slow there. His boat going sideways, losing time. Whenever you don't point towards a finish, you're losing time. There's the slowest guy picking his way through. He's a strong guy, but not so fit.
Well, the important rules are that the first man gets away and crosses the beam before the other 2 can start. The other important rule, as we join the pictures further downstream, this is the last 1,000 meters in towards the finish, is that all 3 men must be within 15 seconds of each other as they cross the line. That's the body of the first man to cross the line and the body of the last man. And the time they're given is the time that the last man crosses the line. Well, here's one of the safety and security team who've been really busy in the last week. It's been a real boat wrecker, this river. The rolling rocks, different conditions right the way through the whole of the week, and quite a lot of personal injuries, some of them broken limbs and scratches and cuts and things like that. It's been a rough old time, Makon.
Yes, you don't really want to fall out of your boat. Because the river is so steep, once you've come out from your boat, you can usually get yourself to the side, but the boat fills with water. It weighs about a ton once it's full of water, and it's just very, very difficult to stop. Even the divers have trouble stopping them.
Well, that's the VIP rostrum where many of the officials from the International Canoe Federation are gathered there.
Zentimeter trotzdem, das heißt natürlich, dass gerade in Pians am Schmal die Felsen noch mehr rauskommen. Einfacher hat das die Aufgabe nicht gerade. Warten im Zielbereich auf die Amerikaner.
So that's the view upstream as we wait for the teams to get down to us. Remember, this river takes some 12 to 13 minutes of paddling, and in a sense you're only as fast as your slowest man. Here are the Americans now setting the target time for the rest. The 3 Americans, Chris Osmond wearing A, that's 1A, and he finished 31st in the individual race. Just a little bit ahead of him was Tim Samsel, who finished 30th. Best of the Americans, the tall man, the 2-meter tall Robert Powell from Bryson City, now to Halo Canoe Club, and he's really the man to either drag, nurse, or whatever expression you like to use his teammates down to encourage them really to the fastest possible time.
All the way down, he should have been letting the slowest guy sit on the wave that his boat produces to help him come along down. But I don't think he's going to bring the slowest guy along too much. As you can see, their time's pretty slow.
Yes, the Americans at the moment not with the strongest of whitewater outfits. And team number 2 just going through, which is Slovakia. 3 men representing them, P2.
As you can see, they're encouraging the slow guys to paddle harder. It's pretty hard for the slow guy to keep up, though. If he was slower 2 days ago, he's not going to make up that much time today. But
yeah, the man who's trying to pull along here to the finish line, this is Robert Klebec of Slovakia, having gone past the Americans, coming towards the finish to set the pace. Robert Klebec, Stanislav Danik and Alexander Kopchik are the men who set the time for the rest to chase. It's a time that's certainly going to be beaten. The best of this trio was Ladislav Danik in the individual race, finishing in 18th place, which was a reasonably respectable effort, just about the same in fact as he did last year in the World Championships in Wales. Confirmation of the Slovakian crew, their World Championship paddling done for 2 years. The next World Championships in Garmisch-Partenkirchen in Germany. The best teams, as ever, are seeded last, so the times are going to hot up. And I can tell you, although at the moment it's early days, we're in for, or should be in for, some really good fights, particularly between Italy, France and Germany. So if you're having your morning cup of coffee, stay with us. It will get quite competitive very soon. Now Britain, and this is Rob Pumphrey with teammates John Willesee and James Lee. The British who finished 5th in the world in the team event last year on the River Quelli, coming into the Pians Rapid.
They've let John go first. He doesn't really like to follow the others. And then James Lee in the middle, trying to follow his lead. John's very, very good on the rough. He's a very strong guy. You see James Lee struggling there. You see the boat's going sideways, not pointing it towards the finish. He brought it back nicely there. Rob Pumphrey, very skillful, sitting in the back, just following them down, letting them get down the rough stuff. As you see, the way is pretty steep. The boat's bouncing over. James Lee's struggling a little there. He's letting the boat go sideways. John's very strong. Arms like pistons, John has. He's the guy in the front.
And don't be deceived. Remember, it's the last man's time that counts. But John trying to set them onto a fast time, and the man at the back, Rob Pumphrey, sweeping them in as they come down towards the finish here. And you can see that they were right around the same time as the Slovakians during the rough water Pians, but they've really speeded up here. Certainly James Lee individually really had a terrific sprint finish here. Finished 26th, although Rob Pumphrey individually was the best of the 3 in 13th place, and 32 seconds they've taken out of the Slovakians in the last 2/3 of the course. 13:59.69. However good that is, we'll have to wait and see. Here again, as you said, you see James getting into trouble.
If you watch in a minute, I think he's either hit a rock or the wave has thrown him way off his racing line. As you can see, you can't see very far in front of you. The waves really are about eye level. And as you fall in the troughs, it's quite a feat to see where you are on the river, let alone paddling.
Next to start, the Czech challenge, Vitz Berdlik, Jan Stasny and Stanislav Hajski. Well, the Czechs yet to get a medal in these championships. They're great rivals. The Slovaks have taken the world individual Canadian doubles title and the bronze medal in that category, so the Czechs would certainly like to snatch something here. And it's not impossible, although they've got to really do this without a mistake.
team racing is quite difficult. You can quite easily fall on top of the boat in front, so it's not as easy as it looks. The individual, in a way, is easier. You just think about yourself, but with the team, you have to think for the slowest person, encourage them. But the slowest person is trying to pull harder than his individual run. And as you see, look, they're catching each other up here.
Yes, it's
a lot of mistakes can happen.
Man who's making the pace now for the Czech Republic. This is Jan Šťastný from Pardubice, 19th in the individual race. The other two men, Spridlik, he finished 13th, and Heiski, the slowest of the trio, in 24th spot.
It's quite possible for the British team to beat these guys. Their slowest guy was slower. Well, about the same kind of speed as James Lee. We'll see what they can do in the middle, because if they pull their guy along, they could beat us, but a lot could go wrong. There's a lot you don't see with the camera.
Well, the interesting thing about the British is they did finish strongly, which is encouraging, and the Czechs separated. They're going to have to close up, make sure that camera angle before shortening. There's the British time. They've still got quite a ways to go. So this is going to be quite tight between the two teams. The man up front there is Šťastný. Then in the middle it's Spridlik, and the man at the back is Heiski, coming towards the line now. And remember, it's not the first man, it's the last man who matters. And I don't think they're going to do it. The first man might get there, but the last isn't going to get there. And Britain still for the moment in the lead. Czech Republic ahead of Slovakia, so I suppose in one sense that's one victory to the Czech Republic, having beaten Slovakia on this particular occasion. But very tight there after 4,400 metres within a second.
It's amazing how close the results are. But if you imagine racing down a rapid, you could go anywhere in the river. There's nothing to tell you where you should go, and the times are so close.
Croatia's men have just started. Fastest man away, setting the pace, Zelko Petric. Very good effort in the individual C1 competition, won by Bloody Panato, who you'll be seeing shortly. Petric finished an excellent 5th, and that really was good, moving up from 12th place last year. This man from Zagreb, only 23, and the Croatians steadily building a very, very useful squad. At the moment, in fact, just looking at that, the Croatians have got Petric up front, and then the second man is Robert Rouse, and Krajacic is the back man, the sweeper of the three.
I think they're doing fairly well on this rapid here. They like the rough water. I'm not sure if they'll be able to get a medal. It depends on what they do in the middle. You can see they're fairly well together. He's one down, which isn't too bad, but there's a long way to go. You don't want to tire yourself out on this rapid, though. You don't want to be too slow either. You see he's leaning on his paddle there. He's a bit tired. The slowest guy struggling a little bit there, but in the middle bit, the relatively easier part, the fastest guy should bring him along.
But the time there, in fact, 1 second up, 1.5 seconds faster than the British at this particular moment. But it is about this finish now. They've almost got through the worst of it, although there are a couple of other nasty rapid tests on the way down, which we don't see. But as they come into view now, the important thing is to see how much more quickly they finish. The British in just under 14 minutes as Croatia come down towards the end of their World Championship Challenge. 9 teams in this Canadian singles competition today.
It also depends on their backup. The English have got quite a lot of support out here, so...
Or the British, we should say.
The British, sorry. They're all the way down, the British have got coaches and supporters, so when you haven't got anyone close by, you think you're on your own. There's people shouting at you, keeping you going all the time. I think the Croatians haven't got so much support, so...
But they have got a good time here. They were a little bit quicker than the Czechs that preceded them. Remember, they were a second and a half up, and they're really challenging for the line now, and I think they're just about going to do this. Last man coming in really hard now, and Croatia about to take over the lead from Great Britain, and they do so by 3.38 seconds. They found just that little little bit more, but it tells you that this is a really tough fight out there. A lot of self-belief, good effort by the British team, just a little bit better by the three Croatians. Are delighted with that, and they rightly should be. And Croatia, give it another couple of years, they could be a real force and spring one or two surprises. Like the Slovenians, they don't have many to choose from, but they seem to find the good ones. Now on to Germany. Germany, whose trio includes the world silver medalist, that's Olaf Schwarz, and he's a real tower of strength for them. Schwarz is wearing bib number A, wearing bib number B is Stefan Stiefenhofer, who had a disappointing race, and wearing C is the evergreen Lebuda, 43 years of age, lots of strength, just lacks a little bit of speed these days. And it's Lebuda, the strong man, who's up the front now, really driving on. Sitting in the middle of the sandwich is Olaf Schwarz and Stefan Stiefenhofer, who was the silver medalist 12 months ago, now dropped to 12th place this year. This is America, who've had all sorts of problems getting themselves together, and probably had a swim or two, that time suggests, but they're safely home now. Back to Germany, down the end of the Pians Rapid, and you can see there, they're within half a second of Croatia, but this is the point from which I expect them to speed up.
I'm not so sure. Ernst Lebuda is a very strong guy, but he's not really trained that hard for it. He's 43 years old, ex-world champion 1977, but I don't think he's going to pull it out for the rest of the race. He can last 5 or 6 minutes. He's very strong, but I don't think, even though the other two guys are extremely fit, extremely strong, they're not going to be able to pull him along to beat Croatia.
Well, surely the tactic that they've employed, as we see them live now coming down towards the finish, is to ask Ernst to race flat out for the first part and then hang on as best as he can. At the moment, they're not doing too badly. Up front there, in the lead is Olaf Schwarz, the silver medalist, fourth 12 months ago, and came so close to Vladi Panato, got within 3.19 seconds of the great Italian who completed a hat-trick here on Friday, but this is very clearly a faster time. They've really picked up time on the easier section of the course, put the power on, and they're going to take a big bite out of that Croatian time. So Schwarz takes them across the line, Lebuda and Stiefenhofer complete in 13:43, 13 seconds into the lead, but that may not be good enough even now for a medal.
Führung für das deutsche Trio im Moment.
Slovenia, who've had a disappointing championship so far, no medals, very similar to what happened to them 12 months ago in Great Britain on the River Tryweryn, but they picked up a bronze in the Canadian singles, and this probably, Macon, their best chance of a medal today now.
They're very strong paddlers. Jusko Kansler, very strong. I thought he was going to get a medal here. He enjoys the rough water, he's very fit. Here you see him leading them down the Pians Rapid, picking his way carefully. He doesn't have to slow down for these guys. These guys will pull very hard to keep up. Fully concentrated there, doesn't think of anything else, don't have a chance of thinking of anything else. The only thing you think about is your boat and your paddle and pulling hard.
The man who didn't make the team, Simon Hokovar, he was in the Slovenian team 12 months ago. He lost out, so it's Sulic, Horvat and Kankler in for Hokovar. So the three Slovenians coming down. Slovenia pretty quick.
Below the Romerkel plant, we call it stepping stone.
This is our American colleagues explaining their problems.
We had to rescue his boat.
Okay, but he didn't hurt.
No, he's not hurt. He's just not happy. He's upset because of the swim.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So back on the river now. The Americans explaining the reason for their 27-minute journey down the River Sana. But now it's back to business, and it's back to the Slovenians really charging in here now. And you're looking at the trio who are going to take the lead in this competition away from Germany, that's for sure.
A very strong trio here. Sluch is not as fit as he was last year. For some reason he's eased off. Maybe he's had a lot of work to do or studying, I'm not sure.
Yes, the teenager, Primoz Sulic, 18 years of age. Bags and promised finished 4th in the World Cup, a season-long competition coming into these championships, but ended up 11th compared with last year's 6th place in the individual competition. So a little disappointing, but this is good paddling by the Slovenians. Just over 13.5 minutes. And they go 10.38 seconds ahead of Germany, with still France and Italy to come.
It'll be an interesting race between Italy and France. French are the favourites, I think, but Italy could bring along Benucci quite well, especially with a strong guy like Vladi Panato to do that. As you see, the Slovenians here, they're not a bad trio either. You know, they're very strong on the rough. I'm sure they've given it absolutely everything.
Well, this is a good performance. They certainly accelerated towards the end. And now the team, supported by Électricité de France, that's the EDF stickers for the three: Jean-Luc Bataille, Samuel Narden and Deruino. Thierry Deruino, so unlucky, this young man, this 21-year-old Frenchman who finished 4th at his first World Championship attempt. What an excellent effort, but just knocked off the podium by Italy's Mirko Spelli. But there was only 3 seconds between the two. So Deruino, Narden and Bataille.
Taking some radical routes, the French here. They're using the whole river. The river has dropped quite a bit, so a lot more rocks are showing. It's quite scary to paddle down. As you're paddling down, you see Samuel Narden closing his eyes there, thinking he was going to hit a rock. You're paddling down, and because the river's dropping, you can see rocks. You think you're going to hit them head on. Quite frightening. And you see which one, Therio there. He's struggling a little bit.
2.79 behind Slovenia, so they've got some work to do. These 4 men who finished 4th, 6th and 7th respectively, they're really in with a chance of a medal. The French, who were silver medalists last year to Germany, the Slovenia in 3rd place. Last year was Bonadel, Rouvel and Narden. So only Narden surviving in the trio. The 2 new men in, Bataille and Deruino, trying to make the difference at the moment. And the Slovenians and the French separated by just over 2.5 seconds, 2 3/4 seconds, and that's possible down here. But I was really impressed, Magon, with the way that the Slovenians were tight and sprinting towards the finish.
The French will be just the same. They've practiced this quite a bit. They've got heaps of support all the way down the river. They'll be getting back splits and telling them what they have to do. They seem to be up on the clock here, but it's deceptive.
Yes, it's deceptive, but the other important factor for the French is that there's always been a traditional fight with Slovenia, Italy and Germany for medals. France for so many years on top in wild water racing. But at these championships, they've still to get a gold medal. They've had 2 silvers. As they come towards the line, it's going to be very close here, and I don't think the backman's home. And I think Slovenia hold on to the lead here. Yes, they do. And push Germany down to 3rd place, with still Italy to come. So the French, who were spread out on the final sprint in much more space between the 3 of them than there was with the Slovenians, who were really tightly packed as they came in the last 100 metres. And the French, 1 or 2 errors in the Pians Rapid, and they miss out very narrowly.
Slovenia could take this if the Italians aren't quick. Slovenia could have it.
Well, the Italians who've got the gold and bronze medalist in their team, but you're only as strong as your weakest link. And Vladi Panato and Spelli, well, those are the 2 strong men. Benucci is the man with pressure.
You see him going up to start. They're letting the slowest paddler, Benucci, go first. Vladi will come along, follow him behind and overtake somewhere along after Piens, and try and pull them along during the relatively flatter parts of the course.
in einer
See how they
Kanadier.
take this. All seem to be taking the same line, unlike the French. The French use the whole river.
Sehr stark besetzt.
There you
Aber
see Benucci at the back there, I
Nummer
think.
17. Ist
No,
er
it's
hier jetzt besser unterwegs? Das ist die entscheidende Frage. Hier sehen wir ihn im Piano-Schwall schon ein Stück hinter seinen beiden Mannschaftskollegen, die sehr eng zusammengeblieben sind.
Panato, the man who's won the individual title for the past 3 years. Fantastic effort. One more victory would equal the legendary achievements of Gilles Zoc of France, and the Italians are 1300ths of a second ahead at the moment. And the Italians really haven't made too many moves in the history of the team events. Last year they didn't take part in 1993 on their own Italian water. They were 4th behind the Slovenians. They're also 4th back in 1987, so it's a long time since the Italians have actually collected a medal in C1.
They've had world champions and very good paddlers, but not a trio to make up a good team event.
Well, this is a real chance now, and this would be huge glory for them. Remember, they were right on terms at the first split with Slovenia as they left the Pians Rapid, but now being yelled on now. Panato really wants this double gold. Spelli well done, and I must say, Benucci, the 20-year-old who finished 17th in the race behind his two teammates, have done extremely well here. They've done a really good job. The Italians coming home now. Slovenians just below the line watching them. And they've got enough time, I think, here. And it looks to me as if the Italians finally are going to make the breakthrough in the team event. And they do by a clear 4.5 seconds and complete the Canadian singles double on the Sana in the 96 World Championships in some style. And Italy very much the team to beat in Canadian singles.
Excellent result for the young guy. He's very happy, banging his boat down. Big slap on the back.
Teammates delighted with him. Couldn't have been easy. Lots of pressure, enormous pain, but you forget the pain when you get the victory, don't you?
That's right.
So the first of the 4 team competitions still to come, the Canadian doubles, followed by the women's kayak and the men's kayak. The women's kayak, in which we have perhaps our best British chance of a medal in our trio led by Cynthia Berry, who had a very respectable 11th place run. That's coming up very shortly. First, though, it'll be the turn of the Canadian doubles, in which Great Britain's trio will be first away.
Nicht riesengroß, aber
the Italians looking very confident and very comfortable on this water. Not easy, but sometimes the likes of Vladi Panato really do make it look easy.
I think he's brought his teammates along very well there. You see Smelly struggling a little bit there. But he's brought them along. He was about 12 at the last World Championships.
So confirmation, the unofficial result as it is at the moment, but I think we haven't seen anything that would suggest any protests. Italy, Slovenia, France. Italy become champions for the first time in a very long time. Slovenia move up from bronze last year to silver this, and France moved down to the bronze position. And Germany, the champions of 12 months ago, I'm afraid only 4th today, ahead of an improving Croatian outfit. Decent effort by the British trio, who but for your injury, Macon, might have had your services in there, but that's a story which hopefully you'll rewrite in a year or 2 in Germany. So the Slovenians, who made a brave attempt and just couldn't find the extra speed to hold off the Italians.
It was fairly
people in Slovenia, they wait for some information for you. Can you tell them in your language?
Comments. You're talking 2 long sentences. And what's the names? It's not Smelly, it's Spelly. Don't guess the names. Okay, look at the names.
Slowenien, die Silbermedaillen Gewinner oder einer der Silbermedaillengewinner.
To the first, to the Italians.
Sagt, es sei ein sehr gutes Rennen gewesen, vor allem am Start und am Ende seien sie sehr gut unterwegs gewesen.
Okay, thank you.
Was er dann noch auf Slowenisch gesagt hat, da muss ich Sie leider enttäuschen. Das Kann ich Ihnen nun nicht übersetzen. Gratulation von den Goldmedaillengewinnern. Und hier von den Franzosen.
So the men getting onto the podium for the Canadian singles.
Auf dem Podium.
This is Italy, Slovenia and France. And the president of the International Federation, Professor Sergio Orsi, himself an Italian from Florence, will be absolutely delighted.
Die Goldmedaille für Vladi Panato.
Medals being presented, I think, by Uli Feldhoff, the Vice President of the International Federation and President of the German Canoe Federation. 3 gold medals to Mirko Spelli, Andrea Banucci and Vladi Panato, and to the Slovenians, Boris Horvat, Joško Kankler, and to Primož Sulic. And the bronze medal,
Mannschaftskollegen Joško Kankler und Boris Horvat,
going to the French, still without a gold medal at these championships. Their trio, Thierry Deruino, Samuel Narden and Jean-Luc Bataille. 2 silvers and a bronze, the French at the moment. They have chances of a gold still to come, particularly in the women's kayak, the men's kayak, and of course the C2.
Italien oben, Slowenien links auf 2.
So that's the story of the Canadian singles. Now it's 2 in a boat. And the first trio are the British trio.
Zweiter Wettbewerb, der
coming into picture. The Blackman brothers, who were the best of the British, finishing in 11th place, with the Clough brothers and also Phil Cornt and Dave Belbin and Ross Pearton making up the trio as they cross the line to set the pace in 13 minutes 43.61. The British, who got a brilliant bronze medal last year in the Canadian doubles. Unfortunately, didn't see them through Pians. We might get a little bit of a replay in a minute just to see how they did through the rough section of the river.
Die britische Mannschaft im Zweierkanal.
Belbin and Pearton, the improvised combination through injuries and defections, finishing 15th in the world individually. The Cloughs, who finished 14th, and the Blackmans, who finished 11th place. And they've got it to do here against what is a small field, but in a sense, Macon is a very select one. The likes of France and Slovakia and Germany, with some very talented trios.
I'd like to see...
here are the British Pians.
Yeah. I think they would have pulled conservatively through Pians because it's so difficult in a C2 when the river drops that the rocks really are sticking out. In an individual boat you can turn very quickly, but when you've got 2 people together you've got to be careful not to run aground, capsize, whatever.
So that time of the British, how well will it stand up? We'll soon get an idea. The next trio on the water are the Czechs. This is Kazik and Smolka, Morstein and Brezina, and the Slovakians, the Czechs have put David Murazek, their spare C1 paddler, who didn't make the individual team, together with Karol Krejci, something which happens from time to time to put them perhaps into a stronger position. Certainly the Czechs faster at the top of the river, not much faster, just about quarter of a second faster than the British, and these boys have still got some way to go.
It's pretty hard to change from C1 to C2, but just to make up the numbers, they've done it to see if they could get some kind of team medal.
Still a fair way to paddle down here. Look at the paddles, they're not quite in unison. Timing everything. The front man setting the rhythm, the other man at the back in the stern just picking it up. Both of them trying to keep that bow pointed straight down towards the finish line and avoid any draw or correction strokes which cost you the fractions of a second. But the Czech Republic looked to have just about done enough to keep their bows ahead of the British, and by 1.99 they take over the early lead. So on that account, I've got to say, Macon, perhaps a little disappointing by the British. Would have liked to, I would have expected, I think, to have beaten the Czechs.
I would have thought so, especially with an improvised team like that. But Dave Belbin and Ross Pearton, they've only been in the boat 2 weeks today. So I don't think it was a bad effort on their part.
Well, the Italians just a few moments ago took the world title in the Canadian singles, which gave Vladi Pranato double gold here on the Sana, and now the Slovakians have the chance, or at least their world champions do, Vladimir Vala and Jaroslav Slučik, who have the chance to get double gold as well. They're the force to be reckoned with, together with Jan Sutek and Stefan Grega, who took the bronze medal in the individual competition. The men under pressure, the Soska brothers, who've really got to try and raise their game.
I don't think the race will be lost on the Pians Rapid. They'll all try very hard to get down. It's which team can bring the slowest crew along on the flat parts of the race. There's a long way to go after this Pians.
Well, just to give you an idea of that, they're 7.96 seconds up on the field at the moment. But the slowest crew, the Soska brothers, they did the individual race in 12 minutes 52. Of course, the water level was a little higher then. But the winners, 12.15, their own teammates, 12 minutes and 15 seconds. So that gives you an idea. There's a good 35 seconds between the fastest and the slowest of the three crews.
You can bring the slowest along by 10-15 seconds just by being there with them. When you're on your own, there's a long straight where no one can get to. It's inaccessible, and you end up feeling a bit lonely. Unless there's someone shouting at you, you could easily ease off the power.
So pretty tight at the moment as Slovakia come down, and they've got, I think, enough in hand. Yes, they have, surely, to get ahead of the Czech Republic. Well, it was the Czech Republic who got the better of Slovakia in the single Canadians, and now the Slovakians are going to reverse the compliment. Easily into the lead, good finish there, 21 seconds, they take over.
Über 21 Sekunden besser als die Tschechen. Führen also für die Slowakei, aber Frankreich und Deutschland folgen ja noch.
Well, mercifully, the rescue crew are having quite a day, and now the challenge for France. France, who are the world champions in the Canadian doubles, face Roos, the individual silver medalist, with Pascal Halko and Richard Jacquemet, who are 7th individually, and the other boat is Christophe Derbuino and Rudolf Edin, who were 8th. So this is a formidable little trio here, and the French with high hopes of holding on to that title, but they're really going to have to do this without any major errors.
French always like to beat the Germans, so I think they'll be very keen to do that. Fully concentrate down Pians. Picking their way, here comes Face and Roos. Face and Roos extremely good. They'll push the other guys along as we get down the river.
I think it's worth just re-emphasising what a good job they did in getting that silver medal. They've only really had 1 month together because of the commitments of Damien Fass at General Motors in Strasbourg. Work has come first this year, so the time they've had together on the water is minimal, and to get a silver medal was a terrific effort behind the tuned-up Slovakians.
The gap was so small, it was 1.5 seconds. Remarkable, really.
Remarkable after, as you say, 4,500 metres of paddling, rough water, gradients, rocks, drops, everything, all sorts of natural hazards in the river. But the French really ploughing on here. This is really good boat speed, and you can visually see now Bruce and Faes, they're the middle trio. And there's a lot of pressure on these men to get to the front, to get to the top of the table now, coming through to challenge for Slovakia for the lead now, and they're going to do this. Front crew just easing off now. Remember that 15-second gap. There mustn't be more than 15 seconds between the body of the front man and the body of the last boat as they cross the line.
They've done very well to bring the slowest crew on.
Good effort.
15 seconds up, yes.
Und es gibt eine neue Bestzeit.
And the last boys charge in there for France.
Die Zeiten sind sehr,
So
sehr
De Bruyne and
deutlich.
Eden with the responsibility of getting the time by 14 seconds. They lead, but still, of course, the Germans to come.
Sekunden Vorsprung.
Germans, after a long reign as Canadian doubles champion, deposed last year by the French. Now here's a chance to see just how good they are in the rough water. They really have a high straight rate, and they really make every paddle stroke count.
Die Franzosen noch einmal.
See Pascal Helker in the front there leading them down. A good line at this level is essential. You don't want to go offline, you don't want to hit a rock. You see the top, not the top crew the other day swim, but it's so easily done, even for world's best.
Exzellentes Mannschaftsergebnis erreicht mit den Plätzen 4,
The
5
crew
und 6
that could upset the French party.
Vorneweg,
Three of them, Dajek and Knittel, Kennel and Muller and Simon and
Knittel, der
I.
Fulda Express.
And they have got a lot of weight on their shoulders. Great expectations in the German camp that this outfit will bring back the title that they lost last year.
Sie wollen den Titel zurückholen. Das ist die klare
Bouncing down the
Zielsetzung.
PMs
Eine
rapidly,
sehr
up and
ausgeglichene
down, up and
Mannschaft.
down. It's very difficult to see where you're going. It looks easy from here.
Remember, these men all kneeling in these Canadian canoes. Very, very tippy, very unstable. Not easy at all. And remember, you're balancing two men. The gravity position's got to be just right.
Especially when there's a medal at stake, you don't want to make any mistakes.
And they're a second behind the French. Now that's possible, but it does mean they're just under a little bit of pressure now. So the French will be sitting, watching, biting their fingernails now, hoping that the Germans don't have the boat speed down here. There can't be much between the two crews. At the split, just a second between the two boats. France, 13 minutes, 5.67. 13 minutes, 5.67 the finish time as the Germans start charging in towards the finish now. It's going to be close, but I just wonder whether they can possibly get there. 12:45. It's the back man again who matters. Coming through, the Germans really being urged on here. A lot of vocal support here. Germans with gold and bronze in the individual kayak medal yesterday, and they're getting to it. They've got there. Germany regain the Canadian doubles title by a healthy 6.69 seconds. Making up the best part of 8 seconds in the last two-thirds of the course. Individually they struggle these days, but as a team they're really tough to beat.
They must have pushed each other very hard down there. Piece of rapid that we can't see.
Für das Einzelrennen am Freitag revanchiert als alle drei Boote exzellent unterwegs waren. Aber mit den Plätzen 4, 5 und 6 die Medaillen verpasst. Das holten sie jetzt nach. Die Medaille
make time in this water at Pians, but you certainly can lose time. Complete focus.
Das sind Andreas
There's one or two correction strokes, but that's almost inevitable. Few will get the 100% perfect run, as in so many sports.
4 und 5 die Medaillen. 4 und 6 die Medaillen. 5 und 6 die Medaillen. 4 und 6 die Medaillen. 5 und 6 die Medaillen. 4 und 6 die Medaillen. 5 und 6 die Medaillen. 4 und 6 die Medaillen. 5 und 6 die Medaillen. 4 und 6 die Medaillen. 5 und 6 die Medaillen. 4 und 6 die Medaillen. 5 und 6 die Medaillen. 4 und 6 die Medaillen. 5 und 6 die Medaillen. 4 und 6 die Medaillen. 5 und 6 die Medaillen. 4 und 6 die Medaillen. 5 und 6 die Medaillen. 4 und 6 die Medaillen. 5 und 6 die Medaillen. 4 und 6 die Medaillen. 5 und 6 die Medaillen. 4 und 6 die Medaillen. 5 und 6 die Medaillen. 4 und 6 die Medaillen
It's the men, in this case, who make the least mistakes, who end up with the fastest time.
It's difficult to know where to go because the river's changing. It's a natural river. If it doesn't rain, it's dropping every day. So the route that you could take yesterday, you can't take today.
Frankreich wieder auf Platz 2 verwiesen und mit
confirmation
Abstand
inside 13 minutes. The only team to manage to break that barrier, Germany, and they now go back to what they consider to be their rightful position in team racing. And once again, the French are denied. France, who get the silver, that'll be little consolation, I have to tell you. Slovakia, well, they'll be pretty pleased to get the bronze medal, and the British in 5th place will be, I have to say, somewhat disappointed. But it wasn't the outfit that competed last year and got a magnificent bronze medal, but nonetheless a very good effort. And the Germans, well, when we see them, there should be broad smiles on their faces.
Andreas Dyer, der Wasserstand war heute nicht so hoch wie gestern. War die Strecke heute etwas
so here are the Germans hauled out of their boats by our colleague Ottmar Balzacki for a few words.
Es darin, dass man kennt, dass es knapp weniger Wasser kommt. Und durch die scharfen Steine, die zwei Gegebenheiten waren weiterhin da, aber sie war schon leichter, weil die Wellen nicht so hoch waren.
Are you lucky for the world champion?
Huh?
Are you lucky for the world champion?
Yes, I am very lucky. I think it's the 5th time for the world championship. With a team, it's with Germany, and it's enough.
Thank you, congratulations.
5. WM-Titel für Deutschland mit der Mannschaft.
So the Germans hardly caught their breath, let alone considering their thoughts, but there they are on the top step of the podium.
Jetzt wird's ganz eng. Auf die Stufe müssten rein theoretisch 6 Leute drauf.
The first or the last medal, I should say, that they're going to get today. They have a very strong challenge in the men's kayak and the women's kayak, who will be seeing next. In that, they also have a real chance. The French will be looking to deny them there. Man with the task of presenting the medals this time, Otto Bond, General Secretary of the International Canoe Federation.
Und sie gehen an die deutsche Mannschaft. Ein toller Auftakt dieses Schlusstages. In einer Kanadier verpassten die Deutschen als Vierte die Medaille noch. Hier im Zweier-Kanadier wird dann sofort die goldene, und bestimmt kriegen die anderen Teams das auch oben am Start mit. Das sollte ihnen Auftrieb geben. Es folgen ja noch die beiden Kajak-Wettbewerbe.
Finally, the Slovakians to get their bronze medals. Really happy with that, and so they should be. Gold and bronze individually, and now the bronze medal for their team effort. Quite a lot of medals to give out here, Macon.
Yeah, 2 per boat. It's hard to get all the paddlers on the podium. Giving an interview straight after your race is not easy either.
So now the women, I have to say, a bit of a disappointment here today as far as the turnout's concerned. The women just represented by 6 teams. And the first team down the river, the Czechs, with the excellent 16-year-old Michaela Stranadova, who finished a brilliant 8th place. By no means the biggest paddler in the world, but she looks so comfortable individually, coming down with Lucy Binarova and Pavla Zikova.
Aber hier kommt das Trio komplett unten an.
And they set a pace of 13 minutes 57.16.
57:16.
Cynthia Berry, Lisa Ray and Debbie Hales for Great Britain. The defending world bronze medalist. There's Cynthia about to go off in second place. Debbie Hales at the back, and I believe the instructions today are for Debbie to go as fast as she can to the end of this rapid, and she's in trouble.
That was a very good route for Debbie yesterday, but it's cutting the corner off and avoiding the big rocks. She hit the bank there, almost went backwards there, but done well to get back online. It's a very difficult rapid to negotiate. When you're paddling down, you really are flying into the unknown.
Cynthia Berry's taken over the lead. Very important to have just the right spacing and to be alert, otherwise all too easy to pile into each other. And now they're back on course. Lisa at the back, powerful, strong. Cynthia, very good 11th place finish. Lisa, the student from Loughborough, 16th individually. Debbie, 24th. Tina Parsons, the other member of the British quartet, nasty swim. She's all right though, but the rules are in the British selection the fastest three, so it's Debbie who's got the pressure on her really to do as best as she can.
She could paddle very well under pressure.
Well, that's what her teammates are going to hope. From here on down now, they're going to really ask her questions in a hard way, but they're also going to try to encourage her the best they can.
Yeah, there's a long way to go, and I'm sure Debbie's been paddling all year. She's going to give everything she's got. They could easily get the bronze again. There's not really a fine line, a cut and dry line there between the Swiss and the Austrians. Anyone can make a mistake here. The British team, very good. Been third for the last two World Championships. It's very close.
Indeed it is. I mean, the British, as you say, who got the bronze in Bala last year and also in Metsana, and picked up another bronze, I can remember, with Cynthia and the team in 1985 in Garmisch-Partenkirchen. Good news for British paddling is that I think Cynthia's going to continue on to Garmisch in 1998 as she tries to bring the other two home. She's just got to slacken off a little bit to make sure that they're all in 15 seconds. She doesn't want to cross the line too quickly. But they haven't got ahead of the Czechs, and I think Debbie has struggled down here. They've done the best they can with her, but it's not going to be a medal this time around, Macon, I'm afraid.
I don't think so. Her early mistake, I think, has cost her that. It's a shame, but that's the way it goes. She's paddled very well from last year, just to be selected for these championships. So a good result all the same.
Then there you can see at Pians, this was after the mistake of Debbie when she pulled herself back together. Cynthia, Debbie, Lisa, the three in a row.
Lisa in the back there, extremely strong, extremely well suited for this course.
Yes, and only 22, finding improvement. She finished 16th compared to 15th last year, so something to find in the next 2 years. The Swiss now, Christina Amsturz, Caroline Dominguino and Christine Schweitzer. They're without Sabine Eichenberger today, who in the individual competition finished behind Uschi Profanta in 9th place. Sabine, who's part of the Swiss K4 and has gone back to St. Moritz. In fact, she went back at 5 o'clock last night under strict instructions from her coach to prepare for their Atlanta Olympic Challenge. And one risk yesterday coming down this wild water river was quite enough for the Swiss, and her three teammates will have breathed a sigh of relief. Not only that she raced well, but she came home in one piece. So it's the three youngsters who have the responsibility on their shoulders this morning.
Yeah, they're paddling very well. picking their way down the rapid there, following each other, not using too much of the river. You don't really want to take lines that you don't know. I'm sure they've had a practice this morning and they've sorted out their lines. But so much can go wrong, but they seem to have got it well there.
Promising trio. I mean, the youngest Carolina Domenechino is 17, the oldest of the three 20, so these three women with a couple of more years experience will certainly move up the order. Whether they have the talent to really take on the powerhouses of France and Germany, well, we'll have to wait and see. But it's good to see the Swiss finding some youngsters to challenge for world-class honours. As you can see, they're coming down to try and deny the Czechs, but I don't think they're going to do that. Czech Republic, that time looking a little better as each of these trios come down.
It's pretty close there.
Swiss are second ahead of the British. Well, I wonder whether the Czechs are going to be the surprise medalists. Of course, there are three teams to come now. And these three teams can change the whole complexion. Austria will be next, and quite surprisingly, they include in their lineup Uschi Profanta. I say surprisingly because she is also destined for Atlanta duty. But having won the individual competition, and the river dropping to a level which she worries less about. She sweeps in, she's at the back of those three as they make their way down. And she can easily sit off the pace because she's got so much natural speed. She can close the gap anytime she chooses. So she's just going to sit in behind, let the other two do the work, give them the odd nudge if she wants to.
I'm sure she'll be shouting from behind once they've got through these pians. You don't do any shouting, you don't look out for anyone in these pians. You just look after yourself.
I couldn't hear anybody anyway.
I'm sure you wouldn't pay any attention. You're just so focused. We don't think of anything except for just getting down this rapid. Extremely difficult.
The team, Uschi Profanta, Petra Schlitzer and Gabi Hollerith. Sabine, her sister, not selected. Gabi Hollerith. Had Uschi chosen not to paddle, then she would have got the place. She really is impressive. Swam with hardly any whitewater experience. Swam here a couple of weeks ago on the first of the run she had down the river here. And just look at her go past there. Just encouraging, trying to drag Petra Schlitzer and Gabi Hollerith to a really fast time. And you can see here they are definitely going to get ahead of the Czech Republic. That guarantees them a medal. It will put them in the lead, but whether that's where they'll stay, Germany and France will decide that. Uschi on the left of your picture, on the outside, just coaxing them home, bringing them home to take over the lead. 13:39, so they're on the podium, but which step we'll know in just about 5 or 6 minutes from now. So the home crowd are happy, Macon?
Yes, to get a medal is excellent for Austria. Usually their only paddler is Uschi. They've found a few extra paddlers this year, which is excellent. They have the rivers, but they don't seem to have the paddlers.
Well, the Holleriths, who represented Germany until last year, they live at Rosenheim, right on the border. And really, to be honest, there's so much strength and depth in the German team that they switched their nationality and representation this year. It wasn't too difficult for them to find a place in the Austrian team, as you suggested. And Gabi, at least one of the two sisters, is going to come away from these championships with a medal. And it's the bronze for finishing in the team event, if that's where they stay. Of course, they could move up, depending on the performance of Germany and then France. So Claudia Brokoff, Katrin Wieten and Claudia Moore are seriously tough trio. There's Katrin Wieken in the middle there, who's, I think, destined one of these days to be the individual world champion. She's already achieved that at junior level. But of the three, it was Claudia Brokoff, who was silver medalist of Wieken 2 years ago in America, who came out best in the individual competition, taking the bronze medal.
They're all very good paddlers, extremely strong. They all train very hard.
They really, it's power paddling, isn't it? It's a lot of force.
Yeah, power to weight. Their arms are extremely strong for their body weight.
Claudia Moore up front, then Wieken, then Brokoff.
Consider both bouncing all over the place. Extremely hard to control. A little bit offline there.
Interesting there, they're 4.18 seconds down on the Austrians. So this is going to be quite a fight to the finish now. That's quite a decent advantage the Austrians have got through the first half, but are they going to maintain it? They could well maintain it. Now this is a real surprise. Is this Profanta's death or die pace that she's forced onto her Austrian teammates? Because look at this, Germany coming down. Still, as you can see, some meters to go. Clock ticking away. And the Germans are going to get there, but I tell you what, that Austrian time is very decent.
It's not a bad time for a team that's only been together for a few months. I thought the Germans would beat them, but a paddle could break very easily down here. You could break out as Debbie Hales almost nearly done. It's a good effort by the Germans.
Well, I think that the interesting thing is I would have expected the Germans perhaps to have had a wider margin over the Austrians. As it is, they've taken the lead very decisively, but the lead is a dozen seconds. What it might have been closer to 20. But nonetheless, Germany have put the time down. Now it's a question of the French. Can they respond? Here are the French trio. Laurence Castet, the individual silver medalist. Myriam Legallo, who finished 4th. And Anne-Fleur Sautour, who finished 5th. Just 24 hours ago. French have really got it to do this. On paper, there's very little between the French and the Germans.
Here we see them coming down PNs again, all very neatly down. They're all very strong girls. They've been training for a month in France at Bourg-Saint-Maurice. Extremely rough conditions there, so they're used to the rough here. Anne-Fleur Sautour, the newest member on the team, extremely good on the rapids yesterday, I thought.
Anne-Fleur is one of the new members of the team from Lyon. Only been paddling 4 years, and they've got a quicker time than the Germans and the Austrians so far. 3 seconds possible to lose that even from here.
We'll have to see what they do in the middle where we're not watching.
The French who've won this title for the last 2 World Championships. Won it in Bourg-Saint-Maurice also in 1987 on their own home water, their World Championships. Interestingly enough, Bourg-Saint-Maurice and the French Federation bidding to host the World Downriver Championships in 2000. Are now coming towards the finish of their run. They're still a few hundred meters away from the finish now. Castet, Sautour and Legallo. Nice and tightly together, clock ticking away. This is going to be close as they come through now. Very, very close, and I'm not sure they're going to make this, you know. The French coming down towards the line.
Gold oder Silber für Frankreich oder für Deutschland? Das ist die Frage.
Just there, they get him across, and France retain the women's kayak title, making it 3 in a row by 7.37 seconds. And all around us, you can feel the sense of relief that at last the French have got their noses in front and a gold medal.
Excellent for the French. Myriam Legallo came 4th yesterday by 100th of a second. She was deeply upset, but that's the way it goes.
Yes, it's the worst position to finish in, and when you finish in by 1/100th of a second, it's just heartbreaking, because there were so many places she'll think back where she could have easily.
The closest of margins, you just don't get any closer than that.
Absolutely. So, triumph at last for France. They take the women's kayak title, gives them a gold and 2 silvers from the individual events to add to their successes. Bronze earlier on today in the Canadian singles, and another silver in the Canadian doubles, but at last they're at the top of the table. France, Germany, Austria. Austria, very decent bronze there. Czech Republic in 4th place ahead of Switzerland without Eichenberger, and Great Britain a disappointing 6th.
It's not a bad result, I think. It's very...
Come on, let's be honest about it. It is a disappointing result. They should have got ahead of Switzerland and the Czech Republic. I know that Debbie Hales made a result, but they're 50 seconds off the pace, which I think, to be honest, we have to say is a disappointing result.
The French and the Germans are extremely good too. Maybe they could have made 10 seconds, but it's easier said sitting here than
absolutely. I don't deny that, but I think it's fair to give respect to also the Czechs and the Swiss, who I think put in just that little bit better performance.
Laurence Castet, did you expect this?
So Laurence Castet.
Oui, ben, disons que ça fait 4 fois depuis 87 qu'on a le titre. Et bon, je crois que pour la tradition, on a envie de le garder le plus longtemps possible. Donc là, c'est vrai qu'on avait un peu peur des Allemands, aussi des Autrichiennes. Mais bon, tout s'est passé comme on a voulu. Je crois qu'il faut demander à la 3e de la patrouille, Anne Fleur Soto, ce qu'elle a pensé de la course, la voilà justement. Parce que bon, c'est elle, je pense, qui a le plus souffert.
Merci beaucoup.
But they're delighted, Myriam Legallo and Laurence Castet, with the job done by Anne-Fleur Sautour, who's given France some smiling faces at last. The penultimate race in the 1996 Downriver World Championships. And Uli Feldhoff, president of the German Canoe Federation, places gold medals round the necks of the 3 young French women, and now moves to his left to present silvers to his own paddlers. Always nip and tuck between these 3 teams. Katrin Beaton, Claudia Moore, Claudia Brokoff. And not to forget the Austrians, who are on the right there, wearing the distinctive yellow helmet, the superfans are Petra Slitzer and Gabi Holland. We're going to take a short commercial break, and then we'll be back with the men's kayaks. So there are the waters of the River Sana. They were much higher. Earlier in the week we had thunderstorms and rain, landslides. The river changing every day, which meant that the routes that you found one day, the next morning you turned up and you had to do it all again. But it's the test of the championship. This is a world championship river, and that section of Pian's a real test for the best, and there are quite a lot of paddlers who came here who knew what their own personal targets were, and a lot of them have gone away with a deal of satisfaction. On the downside, there's a lot of them who've got some rather expensive boat repairs to do, and 1 or 2 who are even more unhappy, who've completely lost their boats.
Time trialing is the ultimate test of truth, though, so if you haven't trained, if you've had time off through injury, through other commitments, it's where it shows.
Well, there are the 3,000-meter mountains that surround Landeck. Not too much snow left up there at the moment. Most of the water that fills this river at this time of the year now coming from the storms and the rain. But we haven't had any of those for a couple of days now. The men's kayak team race starting with Brazil. Canada, in fact, Canada who are not starting. This is Brazil, who are away. The Brazilians who come into wild water racing at world championship level for the 2nd successive championship. represented by Cristiano Arozzi, Werner Vigas and Marco Daher. Not expecting any great things from them, it's just really good to see them in the championships, and they're experiencing here water that they just simply won't find back home.
They're doing very well. They're paddling with these wing blades now, which are scoops and adapted from water turbine blades. And just to paddle down the rough with these paddles is extremely difficult. So I think they've done very well.
Just to remind you, the champions in the men's kayaks from 1995, defending champions of New Zealand. France took the silver, Germany were third, Italy were in fourth place. And the most important thing I would think about the Brazilians is the fact that last year they competed individually, but they didn't take on the competition in the form of a team. This year they've made an advance and they've got 3 men there and working together. They used the experience of Bala to learn a little bit about the team event and now trying to test it for real on the Sana.
It's a long way for them to come. I'm not sure how big the sport is in South America.
Well, it's growing all the time. They host the Slalom World Championships, I should say, next year in Tres Coroas. That's a lovely little town about 1,000 kilometers south of Sao Paulo, near Porto Alegre. Hopefully you'll be with us for those World Championships. Of course, before the World Championships of Slalom, we have the Olympic Games, part of Eurosport's comprehensive live coverage of the games, now just 5 weeks away to Atlanta. Downriver racing, as yet not an Olympic sport, either in its long distance form, the classic race over 4,000 to 6,000 meters, or indeed the sprint version. But who knows, one day it may find its place. Brazil coming across the line. 3 men nicely together. They've paddled well. 13 minutes 53.13. First at the moment. They may well end up at the back of the field, but all credit to them for taking on the challenge. Japan 14 teams. This is the second trio to start. Japan, because Canada, who were drawn to go first, didn't turn up. No knowledge of that. Perhaps they went down the disco. There was a Simply Red concert in Innsbruck last night. Might have even gone there, but where they should have been this morning, they certainly were not.
No, not on the start line. I was most surprised. The Japanese paddling down here now. They've been paddling all week. Whatever the water level, the river came right up at the beginning of the week. They were plugging away, doing very, very well.
Yes, this is Takashi Suzuki. Teammates Kozo Kamanishi and Yoshinori Sasagawa. Again, the Japanese, who did compete in the team event in Bala. They finished 15th of the 16 teams on that occasion. And they're just over 5 seconds now ahead of Brazil.
Klar besser als die Brasilianer bei dieser ersten Zwischenzeit.
Let's see how they can fare up on the way down the course here.
Japanese who, back home in wild water racing, used to training and racing over much shorter distances. For them, a wild water race is more like 1,500 meters as opposed to the 4,400 they're taking on today. They're beginning to get to grips with it, although very difficult. So far to travel, to find competition, to find their level, and so few competitions going to Japan.
That's right. It's a lot of travelling involved anyway, just in Europe, and to go over to Japan, America, South America is very difficult.
Well, the biggest problem about this sport when you travel overseas, intercontinentally, is unlike those lucky golfers or tennis players who can easily put their prized and treasured equipment in the baggage hold. Putting canoes on aeroplanes is just about the most difficult thing in the world.
You wouldn't believe the problems I've had, but luckily some airlines are favourable towards taking them.
It's always a helping hand that canoeists are looking for. Aircraft are not really configured these days to take 5-meter Canadian doubles and 4-meter kayaks and canoes. So Japan stay ahead of Brazil. Not a bad run from these three men.
They've come over to Europe. They've all got German boats here. They seem to like them. They seem to be doing okay in them too.
Well, that's the other way. You arrange for boats to be available here. And the problem about it is when you borrow boats, the people you borrow them from are hoping very much that they go back in one piece, which is a bit of a risk on this river. Now the Americans, who had a bit of a nightmare in the Canadian singles competition. Here's their three kayak men, Ian Stewart, Matt Lutz and Nelson Oldham. Matt Lutz, who finished 46th, a little disappointing in the individual race on this Pians Rapid. Ian Stewart down in 50th spot.
I think it's a team that could come along nicely. They have quite a few rivers, but America is so big that travelling from one race to another is quite hard work.
Yes, they're big series, champion series out in Colorado, one of the most popular, and they do have terrific rivers. Problem is that the World Cup, the season-long competition, and the championships don't go there very often. Last time the championships were in the United States was in 1989 in Western Maryland.
Yes, I paddled there. It was good competition, but slalom seems to be a lot bigger in America than downriver racing. He's eddied out there. He spun round. I wonder what's happened there.
Full breakout, and fortunately he's right at the end of the Pians Rapid, so the other two men are probably unaware at this moment as to what's happened. Just looking down the list there, I think that's Matt Lutz, who's the man who's got the problem.
Didn't seem to be anything wrong there, just seemed to turn full circle.
Loss of concentration?
Maybe.
He was almost there before he was. And he now makes his way out onto the right-hand side. He's going to have to paddle hard to make up contact.
A lot of time he's lost there, but you'd be surprised how concentrated people are on the Pians Rapid, and once they're through, they lose their concentration. It only takes a second, and they've spun out.
Yes, but even there, the back man, Ian Stewart, just losing the line, even on these much more minor waves, just getting a face full of water there. The boat and him being stopped for that fraction, and remember, it's his time that counts. And the Americans, well, they just might not beat the Japanese, and I think the Japanese are going to take this as a very welcome scalp. And the Americans coming up to the time of the Brazilians now. And this would be a turn-up if the Brazilians beat them, but the Americans' pride is just saved.
A good effort by the Japanese, I think.
So, the Americans, not a particularly convincing performance by their men. And as you say, I think, Macon, the Japanese are going to feel quietly happy about that they overtook, went faster than a team expected to do better. Now the Austrians, Günter Briedl, Helmut Lehm, the two young men, Werner Steinventer, the coach for Uschi Profanta, making up the trio. Their other man, Manfred Grinninger, injured and unable to start in the individual test.
Well, backwards there, going down backwards. I wonder what he done there. He must have clipped a rock. He's not going to be happy with that.
This is not the part of the rapid. If he's not careful here, he could so easily tip in. And he's got to try and get back into control. There are some nasty holes. He's just about done it now. That was well worked out. Many would have panicked and thrown away their chance. Remember, all three have to cross the line, otherwise it doesn't count. But precious seconds will have been lost there.
He done well to turn in that rapid. Well, another one's over.
Now the Austrian's really in trouble. He's out of the boat and their challenge is over. Unless he can get out to the side and...
It's all happening. I think his paddle broke there. Look, an end's missing off that paddle.
He won't be the first man to have lost a paddle. Top of the blade. All the shaft gone. And the Austrian race over. So moments ago they were rejoicing an Austrian bronze medal for the women, and now the home crowd have gone quiet as their men are eliminated from the men's kayak competition. So they've pulled out, which is what you would expect, but real disappointment there.
Oh, you see that blade fly in the air there.
Just under there, a forest of really nasty rocks. It's a horrible place to swim.
Enttäuscht schaut Günther Brede
safety men really earned
nicht helfen.
They really earn their money, the safety men here. So a real disappointment, particularly for the two young Austrians, Helmut Bleem and Günther Bredel.
He could have caught his paddle when he broke out there, the guy. Maybe clipped it on a rock or something, caused it to stress, and as he was paddling, just snapped off. They take a lot of strain, the paddles, made of carbon fibre. Boats made of carbon fibre and Kevlar. They're not really very thick, made as light as possible.
So, there's an early surprise to the leaderboard. Japan, USA, Brazil. The fireworks still to come, though. Slovakia next to challenge. Anton Cismarek with brother Martin Cismarek and Jan Rusnek. They have to wait till the first man crosses the beam. There's a whistle that blows, and then the other two can start their trip down the river. Slovakia. Martin Cismarek, who finished 32nd. That was an improvement on last year's result, moving up from 50th. I should say that was Anton Martin. By contrast, dropped from 31st to 34th this year.
As you see, they're disappearing into them holes there. A lot of concentration, a lot of effort put in. Let's see if this team gets down cleanly.
And they're the fastest so far by a good 3.5 seconds, which is, to be honest, what you would expect. And I would think that they should now start to increase that margin over the Japanese.
I would imagine they'd easily beat the Japanese unless they have a breakout or a paddle breakage. They're a lot fitter. There seems to be someone there. This is an Austrian team. Best wants the rest of the teams to come down to paddle down from there to the finish. But Slovakia coming in now and healthily ahead. Lead man there, Anton Cismarek. Bringing them home.
Im Gegenteil, wenn sie es nicht schaffen würden, wäre das eine Sensation.
The last man across the line there for them, Jan Rusnak. He's the man who gets the time, 13 minutes 12.93 and 29 seconds ahead of the Japanese, which still, to me, suggests that's a very decent effort by the Japanese trio.
I think the Japanese have done extremely well. They're not as fit as the Slovakians, but getting down the rapid, like I've said so many times before, is extremely difficult. So much can go wrong. Look at the concentration on these guys. It only takes a second to lose it, and it's gone.
Really focused here as they plough through the troughs and holes. There is Werner, the Austrian Werner Steinwentner, the man with the broken paddle, who's lost first of the paddle, and then coming out of the boat meant the abandonment of the German team. Now Marcus Keller, the man to lead off for Switzerland now, just goes forward to the line with Matthias Fleury and Peter Luthi, the other two.
Sie haben durchaus die Chance, das Potenzial, die Zeit der Slowaken zuschlagen.
The Swiss paddle in Italian boats here, slightly more stable than the German version.
Die Eidgenossen.
So they all look much of a muchness when you're watching from here.
Just a little heavier in weight, Macon?
I don't think the weight is different. It's just the whole shape is different. It's a bit flatter. It gives you a stabler platform to work from. Peter Luthi here looking good down the rapid. Paddled very well yesterday.
Yes, finished 29th. That was, compared with last year, a disappointment when he finished in the top 20 in Wales. Much different river if you were into the heavy water of the Sana.
Yes, he's been here most weekends. I see him about 3 weeks ago here, and he said he comes most weekends. So I thought he would do better, but...
Well, this is interesting. At the moment, I'm looking at two men wearing bib number 27. Now, there's the third man. Couldn't see him just for a moment. The Swiss, this is very close to home. It's just an hour and a half over the mountains here to St. Moritz. Same drive in terms of time to Murano in Italy. Very much a meeting point of roads, Landeck, gateway to the Tyrol, but quite a lot of other countries as well. 24.26 seconds, so the Swiss put in a good effort. They break 13 minutes. They're the first trio to do that. The Swiss sixth in 93 would be their best effort most recently. But if I think back to, I think it was 1989, that was when they got a bronze medal in the Savage in America. Now the Czech Republic, represented by Thomas Zazera, Robert Knebel, and the third man in that Czech trio.
The Czech have got some excellent boats this year. They've got some Kevlar, which is a product from DuPont, which wasn't sold in Czech for many years. Now that the wall has come down, they've got some excellent canoes and kayaks, so they should do fairly well here. Be a good competition between them and the British.
2.14, that's a nice lead there to have over the Swiss, and they'll be kept up to the mark by their coaches, strategically placed along this river. A face full of water there for the man at the back. That's Thomas Zastera. Zastera, 31 years of age, from Prague. Actually coming up to his 32nd birthday. Celebrates that on the 26th of this month, so 10 days from now. And he himself is a man who makes boats, makes paddles, so they've got first-hand knowledge inside the team.
Yeah, as you see there, the waves are very, very big. They're hitting you in the face all the way down. It's very hard to see where you're going. Let's see what they've done. That guy seems to be way out in front. I don't think a team event is meant to be paddled like that.
Well, the main thing is that he has got to slow down sufficiently ahead of the line so that the speed of the water doesn't inadvertently carry him across more than 15 seconds ahead of the other two. And I think a bit of awareness wouldn't go amiss now, because there's really no point in him going this fast.
No, exactly. A team event is to paddle as a team and not as an individual. So I'm surprised he is that far in front, because he could put the others off.
I think what he was worried about was that he was well aware of the time, how close it is between the Czechs and the Swiss, and I think he's been paddling that fast to drag, to force the other two through, and he's done it by 4.78. So you can see they had an advantage. They've increased it a little, but his concern perhaps was well placed, and what he was doing there was really forcing them. It may not be conventional, but it's done the trick for the moment.
Seems to, yeah. See what the British do next.
As you say. Look pretty good through Kian's here, this trio.
Look at the effort they're putting on.
trying to make every paddle stroke count. Just a little hesitation there, and that's when the water moves you. Now it's Great Britain, Ian Tordoff, Michael Mason and Dave Taylor. It's Mike Mason who's gone off first, DRH as he's known in the middle, and a man to sweep them home, Ian Tordoff, very much the British #1, finished 12th in the individual race behind Marcus Gickler. That was not a bad effort. He was 14.57 seconds off the pace, and I thought Ian had a pretty decent run down here. Melvin Swallow, he's the man who hasn't made the team today. Just the finish order there, Czech Republic, Switzerland and Slovakia, those are the first three.
Michael Mason leading them down that rapid there. They were not sure which order to go in this morning. They were not arguing, but trying to decide who should lead. And as it turns out, Michael Mason's leading them down now, doing a very good job. The youngest guy in the team.
Yes, 21 years of age, member of Way Kayak Club down in Guildford, studying biology at Loughborough. Very good 22nd place finish. Mum and Dad out here to cheer him on, and I think he's rewarded their investment in the airfare and the car hire, because I think he's really continuing to show the promise of a year ago when he finished 25th in the world, and now he's moved up a few slots, stuck to his task well, and he's earned his place in the team today.
Yes, he had a very bad swimmer earlier in the week. He's got bruises all down his legs. He almost wrote off a boat of his, and he's done well to come back, looking very good.
Here's Ian Tordoff, nice close-up of the 26-year-old #1 from Chester. Been whitewater paddling for some 11 years.
He should overtake Dave Taylor now, so that he's not the last to finish. But it's pretty hard work. I'm sure they're all pulling very hard, but he doesn't want to be the last to finish. The slowest should finish last.
Well, Dave Taylor won't enjoy this. He's not really, if I'm not being unkind, but he's much happier paddling on his own than he is paddling in a team. So Ian Tordoff's really going to put him under pressure here as they come down to challenge the Czech Republic now, and they should just get ahead of this. It'll be nip and tuck. Tordoff's got to really burn this home now to get ahead. 38-39. They're just about there. Yes, they are. 12:41.27 gives them the lead by 2.65 seconds ahead of the Czech Republic. So the order: Great Britain, the Czech Republic and Switzerland. Slovakia now off the podium position. Japan still in 5th place now, ahead of America and Brazil. And just 7 seconds separating the first three at the moment. Good effort by the British trio. British who last year finished 6th in the world, which was Ian Tordoff, Alan Tordoff, that's Ian's brother, and Michael Mason. And now Slovenia. Slovenia, who picked up a medal this morning. They're first in the championship.
See if they can do the same in their kayak class.
Otherwise, I have to say for Slovenia, it's been a bit of a disappointing championship. This is Miran Veresh for Slovenia with Dejan Krauš and Ondrej Grbiša. So Ondrej Grbiša, the man with all the experience in the world to try and see these three men through. And there he is, right at the front, this former world champion in Canadian singles. In fact, that picture was deceptive. I think he's the man at the back, actually, Grbiša.
Yeah, it's easy to lose where paddlers are. One person's up, the other person's down. It's hard to find where the boats are at times.
Grbiša, now 33 from Solkan, switched from Canadian doubles when his partner Stricker Masley decided to hang up his paddle. That was after the 1991 World Championship, in which they finished 2nd together. Already bursting through this big water. Now the calmer section. Veresh was 20th, Grbiša 23rd, and Krauš the best of the three, the 19-year-old who finished 16th. The man who didn't get a place in the team this year, Borut Tuma, who finished a disappointing 26th.
Be interesting to see if they can beat the British guys. The British guys do paddle well in a team.
Well, this is, a fairly good effort. They picked up the pace in the middle and second half, and now look to have enough time in hand to take over the lead from Great Britain. That'll be a little disappointing for us. We were, in fact, one place behind them in Wales last year, but we had hoped to at least turn the tables on them. But I'm afraid they're going to continue to get the higher placing, and some nice applause as they take a 2-second advantage ahead of Great Britain, who dropped to second place, the Czech Republic of third, and Switzerland are now off the podium in fourth place ahead of Slovakia.
Die Starken, die Folge noch.
It's a good effort by the Slovenians there to beat the British. 2 seconds, not a lot in it. As you can see, the boat's flying over the waves here. Easy to lose a second, easy to gain a second.
The world champions from New Zealand. The three men who won gold on the River Tryweryn 12 months ago, Aaron Cox, Andrew Martin and Philip Dooney, set out, and the challenge ahead of them really tough. This is a completely different river. It's half the distance, but it's tougher and rougher than the Tryweryn. And individually, the three men have not quite matched their performance of 12 months ago. Cox was 8th, Andrew Martin was 15th, compared with 7th a year ago, and Philip Dooney dropped to 17th. They thought 12 months ago that they were looking a real possibility for bronze. It was a surprise to see them get gold, and there was much joy about that they'd broken the domination of the Europeans. But they're going to find it really tough to hold off those that follow. And they're a third of a second down on the Czech Republic, who were quickest to this point. But remember, the Czechs are only third in the clubhouse at the moment. It's Slovenia who travelled faster than anyone down the second half of the river.
They've been here for 6 weeks now training, so they should know the river, they should be fit, but it's hard to do it in the team. It's hard to pull if you are still tired from yesterday. I'm sure they've got a lot of lactate in their arms from yesterday.
Really, they're under no real pressure. I think they're not expected to repeat last year, so it's not as if they've started as big favourites. Once again, they've been looked at as a bronze medal chance perhaps today.
Yes, but somehow they seem to pull it out of the bag. They love the team.
Quite a big gap there. Front man trying to drag them through.
Looking tired, and I bet they've had a very hard race in that middle section.
Yes, gulping in oxygen at the moment, and they've got to keep this going. They really have to keep this going now, because there are 3 other teams that are to follow, and they desperately need to get into the lead. If they don't get in the lead here now, then I don't think they're going to get a medal of any colour. They have got to get ahead of Slovenia if they want a chance at the podium. The clock's ticking away, and the last man's too far back. And they've lost it, I think. And Slovenia stay at the top. Great Britain have ended up ahead of New Zealand. And that's a disappointing final 500 there. As you said, Macon, they looked tired and they finished tired, and that's a disappointing finish.
Yes, I think England done very well to beat them. Britain, sorry, I keep saying England.
Indeed, we'll get letters, Macon. It is a British team.
Yes, yes. A good effort by the New Zealanders, come a long way. They've done very, very well to win, and I suppose disappointed this year not to have done the same.
Indeed, but Andrew Martin will be philosophical about it. And now down to the last 3. Italy with Ceccato, Mulazzi and Pontarolo. Pontarolo, the man who's been the world silver medalist for the last 3 championships. Always in the shadow of the albatross, Marcus Gickler, will be in the German squad that will start last today. But the Italians, well, they've got a chance here. They really do have a chance, but again, it's got to be, if it's possible, millimetre perfect down here.
They'll pick their way fast down here. They won't hang around because they don't want to lose even a second, because to make up a second is very hard work when it gets easier. So I'm sure they won't hang around, where some of the C2s maybe have taken a cautionary line down there. They'll go hell for leather.
Pozzarolo, as I said, he was the silver medalist. Lazzi finished 13th and Ceccato 18th. Lazzi, who was the bronze medalist in 1993, and the Italians are just under a quarter of a second up.
A good position to be, better than being down a quarter of a second.
Well, they've got to really push on now. They know that France and Germany follow.
The good thing about time trialing is there is nowhere to hide. It's a flat-out race against the clock. Great test of fitness, speed and skill.
The Italians relying on the same trio that brought them 4th place last year and hoping that they found just that little bit more pace on this shorter race this time around. Looking to be faster than Slovenia and to take over the lead, and that's something which I think they're going to do without too much trouble.
Und sie werden sie auch schlagen, das steht schon einmal fest.
They go ahead of Slovenia.
Und zwar klar schlagen um
what
fast
that
8
means is
Sekunden.
that New Zealand are off the podium and now in 4th place. So the champions, no medal to take back
Italien jetzt
to
also
the Southern Hemisphere. Disappointing for them. The order: Italy, Slovenia, Great Britain, then New Zealand and the Czech Republic ahead of Switzerland and Slovakia. Japan are in 8th place.
Oder Bronze, das ist die Frage.
Just a minute and 11 seconds separating the top 8 teams. 12 seconds separating the top 5.
Excellent performance by everyone.
Während am Start bereit sind die
2 to go.
Franzosen.
And this is France. Quelli and Fagier, a formidable trio. Well, they've taken the women's kayak title. This is the one they dearly love to take. French, who were second to New Zealand last year, ahead of Germany, ahead of Italy.
They've got their boat well pointing towards the finish here. No sideways motions at all. All the strokes positive, all the strokes pointing down towards the river. Looking good. Philip Gry here at the back, extremely experienced, been around a long time.
3.46 seconds, that's a good advantage over the Italians on the early part of the course. And Michel Fagier, the 20-year-old, he's the man in the trio who's under pressure.
I'm sure the other two will bring him along nicely in the middle section.
Oh, the French are so good at reading water. They just paddle with a lot of natural feel, good rhythm.
They've got a lot of good rivers in France. They've got a lot of backup, a lot of knowledge, a lot of depth.
But having said that, until today, the championships without a gold medal, by the high standards that the French set and the expectations they have, again, slightly on the downside this time for the World Championships for the French. Finding themselves outpointed, but what's going to happen now? Looking good for the French at the 3rd distance, but now pulling them home. By Quelli and Fagier.
Right, just overtaking Fagier there to let the slowest guy come home last. Good tactic, and to be able to do it, you've got to be very strong.
Just dragging him through now, keeping him company, keeping his paddle strokes going. They'll do it comfortably enough. They've expanded the advantage over Italy. But will 12:26.95 be good enough for gold?
We'll just have to wait and see. Not long to go.
Not long to go indeed. There's a mighty force to come. Fagier gulping in the oxygen, but this is where they're so good in this big white water. Looking confident, making their strokes count, not missing a stroke, not correcting, just positively focusing on the job ahead. Just one little correction there, in fact, you can see a good effort.
Gekommen sind, die hier bei der Vergabe der Medaille kein Wort
So now, Markus Gickler, Axel Lehrmacher and Thomas Kuhlmann. Just to emphasize why these men are the favourites, they have the individual gold and bronze medalist in the team. And there he is, the albatross at the back anyway, starting off at the back of the three. Completing 4 individual victories this year to equal the record of the legendary Belgian Jean-Pierre Berny.
I think Markus Gickler has brought his teammates along very nicely. They're all going very strong this year. You can see him in the back pushing. He must have hit a rocky look back there. As I say, the river's dropping all the time. The river level's coming down, bringing out rocks that weren't there the day before.
0.32 faster than France, so nothing in it. Very, very easy to lose that. One slip, one error. Spin. Breakout, and the gold medal could slip out of their hands. At the moment, they've got a couple of fingers on it.
I'm sure it'd be very close. They won't win by a huge margin.
No, but if you think of the individual title, Markus Gickler winning from Roberto Pontarolo by just 1.79 seconds, and Philippe Gray, the best Frenchman, was only 4 seconds off the pace. And now here come the Germans to the business end of the race. Is it going to be double kayak gold on the team day for France, or are the Germans going to get the kayak team gold to go with the individual gold and bronze that they took just 24 hours ago? Coming down now, this is paddling here by this German trio. Gickler at the back, forcing his way through, driving on Axel Lehrmacher, encouraging Thomas Kuhlmann as they come down towards the line. And surely it's going to be Germany for double gold now. Nothing the French can do about this. They are in irresistible condition at the moment, the Germans, and by an impressive 10.87 seconds, Germany take the team gold and go back to what they consider to be their rightful place at the top of the kayak tree.
10 seconds is a long, long way. I think they've done excellent.
They've really controlled their start, managed plans and powered through the rest of the Sana.
As you see, they haven't really made or lost much time. They're up at half a second or so, but on the flatter part of the course, they seem to pull it out of nowhere. 10 seconds, a phenomenal amount of time.
Well, there's nothing like the confidence of good individual runs that they had yesterday to spur them on to greater things today, and that's the way it works out. So Germany get yet another medal at these championships, and of course, that inevitably is going to make them big favourites to do well at the next championships, which they'll host in Bavaria in Garmisch-Partenkirchen. So at the end of the day, a decisive victory for Germany. France another silver. Italy move up from 4th last year to 3rd this year. Slovenia in 4th. British upper slot by flip-flopping positions with New Zealand. The Czechs in 7th place ahead of Switzerland. Slovakia 9th. Japan make the top 10. Pleased to take the scalp of the Americans. And Brazil complete the lineup. The Austrians failing to finish. The Canadians failing to turn up. So a good race for the kayak competitions on what has been an excellent week for the World Championships here in the Tyrol. Just a few fluffy clouds in the sky, but generally the weather fair, fine as it has been. The forecast indeed, if you're coming this way, more sunshine, more heat for the week to come. And just to remind those of you who might like to try out the River Sana, well, you can do that in a raft here in Landeck and get a flavour of what these men and the women have been doing during the past week. But they'll look after you in the raft.
Yes, they've got some excellent rivers here.
Credo che sia oggi la nostra posizione, siamo contenti di essere arrivati terzi, meglio una medaglia di bronzo che un'area in quarta.
So Fabio Ceccato, the spokesman for the trio of the Italians, who very pleased, I think, to have finished in 3rd place. Tarolo and Mulazzi first to the podium to get ready for the honours. And the Frenchman smiles, but in a disappointment, I think.
Oh, on a fait On a fait une bonne course, je crois. Manquait peut-être un peu de jus par rapport à la la nuit était courte pour récupérer. En plus, on n'a pas très bien dormi. Mais bon, je crois qu'on a quand même sorti une bonne course. Je crois qu'on a bien rendu ce qu'on avait. Donc, voilà, on est sur le podium.
You satisfied with the second place?
Oui, on peut faire toujours la première place, mais bon, tant qu'on
Of course, he would rather have won, and the French again have to settle for second slot for the second successive year. But I don't think Macon anybody was going to deny the big man and his teammates. There he is, all 2 meters and 3 centimeters of him, towering over his teammates, Lehrmacher and Kohlmann.
Markus Gickler, zweiter Titel innerhalb von 24 Stunden. Wie ist es möglich, dass das Team auf das zweite
title in 24 hours
10
for
Sekunden
Markus Gickler?
Wo habt ihr das herausgefunden?
Wir sind einfach unser Einzelrennen nochmal gefahren und dann haben wir die Welle genutzt, so kann man eine ganz gute Zeit rausfahren.
And today the standing of the water was the same as yesterday or not?
It was much lower than yesterday and a little bit more rocky, and we had a few tail hits because we went so close to Pians. My tail looked not good because I was following Axel and had a bad line.
Das Wasser ist heute doch klar niedriger als gestern und deswegen kamen die Felsen besser raus.
Marcus was looking around a couple of times through the hands, conscious that he might have been touching the rocks, and I think that's the case. But at the end of the day, everybody's down, and as far as we know, everybody's safe, so that's important. As once again, the General Secretary of the International Canoe Federation, Mr. Otto Bonn, stretched up to put the gold over the neck of Markus Gickler. Now the French to get their silver medals. Rai, Caillet and Fagier. And a well-earned bronze for the Italians, who've had a pretty fair championship.
I think they've enjoyed their canoeing. I think it's been a very good World Championships.
Who were second in 1993 in the Worlds in the team event on home water on the River Noche, getting back onto the podium this time. Yes, Markus Gickler, he's as critical as any one of rivers he races on, but at the end of the day, what do you think? Not a bad championship?
I think it's been an excellent championship. You can't control natural rivers. It's just how the natural rivers are. Valor is dam controlled, you know how it's going to be, so you can train for it. But when the river's going up and down, it's expensive on boats.
So it's been a fine week and a fine set of competitions. It began on Friday morning with the Canadian singles. The shape and form of Vladi Panato, who arrived here, the Italian, having won 2 gold medals and duly retained his title for a 3rd time. That was in the Canadian singles. In the Canadian doubles, it was Vala Slujic of Slovakia who won the gold 12 months ago. They won it this time. And then, will she, won't she? Will she Profanta, destined for Atlanta, finally at the last minute making a decision to race and collecting her 3rd consecutive title. Finally, yesterday, just before midday, it was the turn of Markus Gickler to equal history, collecting his 4th consecutive world kayak title, to make it equal with Jean-Pierre Berny. The team events this morning in the single Canadians, it was Italy ahead of Slovenia getting their 1st medal, with France taking the bronze. And then in the Canadian doubles, Germany regaining the title they lost 12 months ago. And finally in the women's kayaks, the French women coming through to at last give their country some cheer, taking the gold, with the Germans powering their way home to take the World Championship in the men's kayak team competition, to conclude a very good
exzellentes
week
Ergebnis
of
für
racing. At
Deutschland.
the
Es waren
end
herrliche
of the
Tage
championship
hier in
journey at the
Tirol.
top
Ich
of the
hoffe,
medal
Ihnen hat es auch
table,
Spaß gemacht mit
looking
uns, mit
very healthy.
Eurosport.
Italy a
Ich
good
danke Ihnen
performance.
herzlich
France a little
fürs Zuschauen.
disappointed.
Wünsche
Well, she
Ihnen alles
Francis
Gute.
gold there
Bis
with
zum
their
nächsten
bronze
Mal.
today from the
Bleiben Sie bei
team,
uns
putting them in
und
fourth place
schalten Sie
ahead
wieder ein.
of
Bis dann,
Slovakia
sagt Tschüss,
and
Ihr
Slovenia.
Wolf Kalb.
Well, that's the story of the World Championships in 1996. They moved to Garmisch in 1998. For now, though, from Makon Singh and myself, David Goldstrom, thanks for your company. Bye-bye from Austria.
Thank you.